Hi and welcome to the next section of this course. In this section, we are going to explore what are the various collections in Dart. So what are the section objective? So firstly, we will check out what is a list in Dart, which is further subdivided into two categories such as the fixed length list and also the growable list. And then we will explore what is a set in Dart, along with its implementation such as HashSet. And finally, we will explore maps and also its implementation such as HashMap. So currently we are in section 11 and we are about to check out our first video, that is exploring fixed length list. So firstly, let us check out what is a list in Dart. Well, in most of the programming language, we first try to use arrays. Now in Dart, the array and list are both same. You can also say the array in Dart is known as the list. Now in a list, the elements are stored in the ordered way. That is, it is an ordered collection. And all the elements that are present within the list are present in sequence. Well, the list is of two types. The first one is the fixed length list and the second one is the growable list. Well, in case of fixed length list, the length of the list once defined cannot be changed later. So in this video, let us check out what is a fixed length list. So within our application, let us first learn how to define a list. So for that, let us define a variable of numbers list. And on the right, create the list. So the syntax is use the class of list and then the constructor. Now within the constructor, you have to pass the length of the list. For example, if I define it as 5, then our list will contain only 5 elements. So this is how we create the fixed length list. Now this list is actually of the type of list with the type parameter. Now as a type parameter, here our intention is to define the list of numbers. So I will use integer data type. Now in case you want to define the list of names, so in that case you can use here list of string. Similarly, you can define list of boolean values as well. It is totally up to your wish. So right now I will use list of integer values. Now since our list has the length of 5, so it can store 5 elements. Now each of the element within our list contains an address so that the elements can be accessed, or you can say we can read the element. And technically that address is known as the index of the element. And the index of the elements start with 0. For example, here we have 5 elements. So our index value will start from 0, then 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in total we have 5 elements. So here we have 5 indexes starting from 0 ending at 4. And also when this statement is executed, it is by default going to initialize all the elements as the default value of null. So currently our element values are null. So here this n represent the null value. Now how to initialize all the values? So for that we have this syntax. Use the number list and then use the pair of square bracket. And if you want to insert some value at this index of 0, so in that case you can use here index of 0 equal to some value such as 73. So now at the position 0, our value will now become 73. Perfect. Similarly, at the index of 1, we can define our own value such as 64, and here as well it will become 64. Now it is not mandatory to insert the values in sequence. You can actually skip the index of 2 and then straight away insert the values at the index of 3, such as number list at the index of 3 equal to 21. Similarly, for the index of 4, let us give it the value of 12. So accordingly the values will be updated here. Perfect. And now how to print out these values? So for that you can use the print statement, use the name of the list and then the index. If you run the application right now, you will get 73 in the output console. Just because at this position we have the value of 73. Perfect. And now how to update the value at this index of 0. So for that again use the same syntax. Let us update the value to 99. If you run the application right now, 73 will now become 99. Perfect. And in case if you want to delete some value, that is make the value at the index of 1 as null. So for that what you can do, access the value at index of 1 equal to null. So now 64 will now become null, and 73 was earlier replaced by 99. Perfect. And now suppose if you want to use an iterator and print out all the values, so for that we can make use of the for loop. So down below here, let us define our for loop. Use the variable name as element. You can give it the name as per your wish. And now I will use the in operator followed by the numbers list, and then print out the element. Now the syntax of for in loop we have covered in the previous videos, so make sure you go through that video. So with each iteration we will get the element from the list and store it within our element variable, and finally print it out. Now similar to this loop, we have one more way to print out the values using the for each loop. So for that again the syntax is very simple. We have to make use of the lambda expression. Let us use our list variable numbers list dot use the for each loop. Now in the hint you can notice we have to make use of the lambda expression here. This is our function that takes one parameter as the integer value and then our method body. So here I will use for each loop followed by the parameter of, let us say, element, and then use the fat arrow and print out this element. Perfect. So this is another way to print out the values using the lambda expression inside the for each loop. And now in the end, let me show you one more way to print out all the values. But this time we will make use of the index. So for that I will use the primitive for loop. Int I equal to 0, I smaller than the length of the list, and finally increment the counter value by I++. And as a body you can print out numbers list with the index of I. So this is one more way to print out the values, but this time we are making use of the index of the element, such as number list at a particular index. Perfect. And now let us launch our application, but before we launch our application, let us use a line break after each of the print statements. Perfect. Let us now launch our application, and there we go. Here is our output, such as using individual element, then using lambda, and finally using the index of the element. Perfect. So in all the cases the output is same. And now in the end, let us explore more. Now within the list class, we have a lot of predefined options, such as you can use the method of remove. And then you can pass the object value, such as if I pass here 99, then it is simply going to remove the object of 99 from the list. Similarly, we have add method, where you can add some value to the list. And then we have remove at method. By using this method, you can remove the element at a particular index. Suppose you want to remove the element at this position of 3. So here I will pass 3. And we have a lot of more options, such as list dot insert, then is empty, then clear, and so on. Right now I will use clear. Now unfortunately, all of these methods or operations you cannot perform on the fixed length list. That is, these operations are not supported in the fixed length list. These are only supported in the growable list. Suppose if you run the application right now, it is simply going to throw the exception, unsupported operation. So right now, let us comment these 4 lines of code. Now the question arises, how can I make use of these methods? So for that, let us check out the growable list in the next video. So coming up next, let us explore what is a growable list.